and thank you for joining us for the webinar on unconventional ways to source top tech talent in partnership with HackerRank. I am Shweta from People Matters, and before telling you about today's agenda, let me give you a brief about today's topic. Recruiting new talent is a huge process. Shifting through resumes, exploring interactions over phone, scheduling interviews thereafter, and finally selecting the perfect candidate. So, what are the unconventional ways to source top tech talent? In this webinar, we will discuss what are the best ways to source top tech talent, what new age tech-enabled methods have to be adopted to ensure you source and hire top tech talent, how to attract passive candidates through your employer brand, how talent at your company can be leveraged to make hiring social and spread the word about hiring. Why hackathons and coding contests are a great way to help you source better. We have the privilege of having with us Kevin Freitas, Global Head Recruiting and Reward, InMobi. Kevin Freitas, in his current role at InMobi, has created innovative talent programs to attract talent globally, introduce disruptive people practices around the world, and is the custodian of InMobi's talent brand. Kevin is a chartered accountant and a gold medalist in managerial ethics from the XLRI School of Management. In his career, he has worked with Hewitt Associates, the Hay Group, Accenture, and Procter & Gamble. We also have Hari Shankaran Karunanidhi, co-founder, HackerRank. After a short stint with IBM, Hari co-founded HackerRank, which became the first company from India to be chosen for the prestigious incubator program at Hawaii Incubator. At HackerRank, he is responsible for the product delivery and scaling the core platforms where developers from all over the world come to solve interesting challenges at different domains of computer science, such as artificial intelligence, algorithms, machine learning, etc., for fun, glory, learning, and job. Our partner for today's webinar is HackerRank. Founded in 2011, HackerRank is the first Indian company to be selected for an incubation program by Y Incubator. Headquartered in the USA, the publicly accessible platform found at hackerrank.com is a community where coders go to compete for fun, education, pride, and jobs. Programming problems span several domains, including artificial intelligence and algorithms. Companies can also participate on this platform by sponsoring challenges that can include real-world problems that any coder in the world can compete to try and solve. We have a full exciting agenda for the webinar today. So, without any further delay, I am going to hand over the webinar microphone to Kevin and Hari. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the webinar. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this and for listening in. It's always a pleasure to be able to share some of the things that we do at InMobi, especially in the area of recruitment, and the unconventional ways in which we go about doing our work, especially when we are sourcing for top tech talent. Over the next 40 minutes or so, I'll walk you through some of the areas that we innovated in, some of the conventional wisdom that we came up against, and what did we do about it. This is one area where we felt that there is a lot of innovation possible if you question the common sense that's usually found, especially in the area of recruitment. One of the things that we've experienced, and when we went through a lot of research, we found that everybody, nearly every recruiter we spoke to, every founder we spoke to, whether it was a startup founder, Series A, Series B, whether it's a listed company, unlisted company, they all seems to know people in their network, and they said that when we are able to refer somebody from your network, we tend to give this more seriousness. We tend to give it a far higher approval rate. And we said that's interesting. We also have a referral program, and I guess every other company also has a referral program. But when you try and unpeel this onion, when you try to peel this onion, you realize that referral, although it's an important source. It's not always that you get to see a very, very high turnout in terms of results. You definitely get to see a high percentage of people being referred getting into your organization, but when you look at the overall statistics, it might account for only around 7 to 10% of your hires. So while it's a great source, while it's a very effective source, how do you really get this number up? And we said that we can innovate around that, because guess what the research says is that it seems to be a great source. It seems to be a pre-validated source of hiring, but yet the statistics belie the real results. So we said, that's an area of innovation. And what I want to walk you through today is how we took this common wisdom of saying that, referral is a great place to source people from, and made it work for us. The second thing that we also realize is that every single company has in some way their own recruitment team. Either they use their own recruitment team and they build one inside, or they tend to use partners outside. And in fact, when you look at your own recruitment team inside, what is it that you can do to channelize an extreme level of productivity, extreme level of results? And it's not only your own recruitment team that actually hires for you. When we delved into it deeper and we spoke to our recruiters, we spoke to recruiters at other companies, they said, one of the biggest ways in which you can get people to support hiring is if your company leaders itself, are out there as billboards and are actually supporting hiring. And employee advocacy helps if you tell people to share posts, but it's not as great as having your company leaders out there. Because guess what? When people are looking at applying to InMobi or any other company, they don't just look at the employees there, they look at the company leaders. In fact, the company leaders, the LinkedIn profiles of the company leaders are amongst the most viewed profiles for any company, in LinkedIn universe, out of all the other employees. The second bit is also about the employer brand and the kind of online assets you create. What is it that you talk about your company? Do you have a common company narrative? And these in some way really help the recruitment team hire, because this enables the recruitment team to actually reach out to a lot of candidates. In our experience at InMobi, today 50% of our recruitment efforts, recruitment results come via our referral program. The remaining 50% come via our own recruitment team. And we don't use agencies as a result of this. This is what common wisdom would show you, and this is a 2014 global data point from JobBite. It talks about referrals, especially a lot of recruitment teams looking at referrals as a predominant source of their hiring. But yet again, when they look at the total job applications, only 7% comes via referral. So how do you actually increase this percentage and the intensity of referrals to actually reflect a higher result? Now that's a big challenge, because what you really see is that referrals is a great source. The only problem is that you're not able to scale it to the extent that you want for many reasons. Employees have to do their day job. They are not really clued into what skills are required for another job. They don't always have a good idea about what skills are required for either this job or what their friends are currently doing. They don't know what they're hiring for. So clearly, there is a lot of information asymmetry even within the referral universe within a company. And if you can solve for that, you can really, really work magic. And that was the realization that dawned on us, and I'll walk you through what we did in that particular area. So we were very clear that we wanted to look at a referral-only strategy. We went out and we said that, is there a way in which we can actually tell people that, hey, listen, we're not going to use agencies, we're not going to use any other source other than our own recruitment team and referrals, which means you need to hire for us. And what we did was very clear. We recrafted our entire referral program. We stopped giving out any cash awards. Cash awards are exciting, but at the end of the day, it's something that goes into your bank account. It's something that you don't really check. At the end of the day, it's something that's come into your account, you're happy with it. If it doesn't come, you go and you complain about it. But if in some way we could give employees something much more worthy, something that they would remember for the rest of their time at InMobi or elsewhere, that would be exciting. And if it was something that was socially well recognized, socially enviable, you could actually create a wonderful referral strategy around it. So what we did is that we changed our entire referral program to an experience or product-based referral program. Whenever you refer somebody and are successful at InMobi for that referral, we ended up giving different kinds of experiences, a trip to Ibiza, trip to Amsterdam, a full moon party in Thailand, a scuba diving in Andamans. You had You had a Royal Enfield bike that was given out for every single engineering manager that was referred and hired by the employee at Inmobi. And as a result of this, a lot of our people ended up sharing this on social media. So we hacked referrals by changing the currency from cash to experience, as a result of which it improved the ability to attract people, because people could clearly see that this was not about giving cash to people, but it was about giving exciting rewards to our own employees. And therefore, you had some of them going on social media and posting it. Again, our strategy was very clear. We didn't force people to do this. They did this out of their own accord. We know of countless teams that actually have to nearly beg their employees to share. But in the case of Inmobi, I think a lot of it is self-driven. When people feel like sharing on their own, that's the best possible outcome that you can get. Again, it was all linked to our overall goal of spurring referrals further, because the research clearly showed that this was a great way to hire. We only needed to figure out how to scale it. We also ended up looking at tons of other ways in which we made it more social, and the photographs, the images that you see are of our founders actually handing out these awards. It's not about saying that you won a bike or you won, a television screen or a trip to Hawaii, to Ibiza or Europe. It's about actually handing it out, because that makes people feel really, really special. And not only do we hand these awards out, we also post this on our social media pages. And therefore, referral for us is about our entire company pitching in to hire for Inmobi. Today we don't look at our team as, a bunch of 4 or 5 recruiters, but, 900 talent scouts for Inmobi, hiring for Inmobi. And that's the massive change that we've done with referrals, and that's why we've been able to scale the size of our program. Again, when we looked at it and we went about our research, these were some of the things that we saw. LinkedIn research showing that referrals are the best way to hire. And again, as a source, everybody knows that it is a good source, but very, very few companies actually end up tweaking this program to make it really work for them. Our experiences about when it comes to referral bonuses, experiences beat cash. We were inspired by a research study, by Wichita State University, where, they said that when you give out an experience to people, it has a lot of attention residue. Attention residue is what you remember things by. You don't necessarily remember your 5th paycheck or your 10th paycheck, but you always remember that, hey, listen, my CEO called me on stage and gave me, the Employee of the Year award or a specific award. That attention residue is extremely important, and a lot of our programs, whenever we look at changing something, are based around actual research that we readapt to our current programs. We had a great increase in referrals, so our referral rate shot up, from 20% to 50% as a result of the branding that we ended up, doing. A lot of applications, came in. Today we've actually seen an increase of not just 3x but 5x the number of applications for every single job. And again, we reduced agency costs to zero. We used to spend close to about $1.7 million in agency fees in 2013, and that's drastically shrunk. We've got an exciting, mention in a global referral ebook by LinkedIn, and that's where we have tons of other great companies also are doing great referral work, right? So how did we look at some of the tools that are out there that you can use to hire? LinkedIn's definitely a great tool. It's got an excellent next gen recruitment solution, and you should look at it in case some of you all have access to LinkedIn Recruiter. They've got some exciting new things that are coming out. They have got LinkedIn referrals that are coming out as well. Then there are the other new age startups. There's Ripple Hire that's absolutely focused only on hiring via referrals. And they've got an extremely good social branding and social referral tool, that actually helps a lot of startups and or large companies hire. You have grown out, and this is one company where you actually see referrals being done in a very, very research-oriented manner, because they look at the intensity of the network. They look at, hey, listen, if you've got so many people at your company, Kevin, you've got 900 people at your company, let us tell you what's the intensity of their network and who's the most apt person for a particular role. Not everybody who knows Kevin is is part of Kevin's network. But if a person has studied with Kevin, if a person has worked with Kevin in a certain company, if a person has been associated with Kevin directly, either work or via his college or wherever he has studied, those are the people that have a much stronger intensity of the network. And what Burnout does is provides that particular realistic assessment to the employee when they are about to refer. And that makes a lot of sense. It also provides that to the recruitment team because, you don't really need to go out to employees and ask them, can you refer? You are actually telling them that, hey, listen, I know you know this person in your network because you all studied together. I think you'd be great for a position at InMobi. Can you help me connect? Rather than the employee doing a lot of heavy lifting, what Pronout has enabled through technology to do is get the company itself, the company's recruiters to do that heavy lifting. And these are three exciting tools which we were looking at over the past one year. LinkedIn, of course, is a great tool, because we always use it. But these two other tools were something that we really felt would actually help a lot of companies, spur on their referral sourcing. We also looked at how are you able to attract passive candidates to employ brand. Not everybody who we hire, typically knows about InMobi, right? But there are a lot of passive candidates, who either are unaware about InMobi or are aware about InMobi but, are not looking out. The best way you can get passive candidates to climb over their initial hesitation to actually look out is by providing very sensible company narrative about why you're exciting. And what we've tried to do over the last 2 years is provide a lot of constant company narratives about our brand, about the kind of work we do, about the competitive advantages of working at InMobi, about why we are listed on the world's most innovative companies list. And this constant company narrative really helps convert passive candidates into active job seekers at our company. We also have regular media mentions about culture and business. Now, a lot of the times I've been asked that, you've done, we always see InMobi in the news. You guys are always there for a lot of things. You guys are on all sorts of social media sites. How do you all do it? Do you all have a big team that does it? Do you all spend a lot on this? And the fact is that all of this is organic. Whenever we get a request from the media, we pretty much drop everything and address that. We probably address that in a turnaround time of 2 to 3 hours. So unlike most other companies that typically take 2 days to a week, so we just do it the same day, and that's the reason why you see us mentioned so often. And again, this is something that's owned by HR. All our media mentions, especially when it's all about people practices, is owned by HR. And that's where we've seen real strategic speed in being able to have regular media mentions about our culture and our business. We also exhibit our culture and people practices through a lot of visuals. You might have a great policy document, but people don't read policy documents on social media. What they understand are visuals. What they understand are emotions. And that's what social media is about. It's not about reading a lot. It's about understanding. And when you realize that it's about understanding, you realize that people on social media have a shorter attention span. You need to communicate what you stand for, what your guidelines stand for in a more visual manner. And this is something that we've realized over the last 2 years, and we've always inculcated it whenever we are sharing things on social media. We also started our own exclusives. We realized that it's not always possible for a particular candidate to do a lot of research about InMobi, and we also realized that the best place that a person can get a lot of feedback is just doing a search about the company. But if there was a way in which anybody interested in InMobi could get all data points about InMobi, whether our story, our growth, what's it like working at InMobi, what is life at InMobi, tell us more about the different startups that have come out of InMobi, etc. We said that let's create an exclusive platform for this because we can actually share this with a lot of people. This helps a lot of passive candidates also learn about a company. It helps the active job seekers build a stronger connect during the application process with the company. So we started something called startup.inmobi.com, which is a platform for InMobi, about all our news, where people can follow our career handles, they can know about our different stories, and a lot of this is very, very visual, a lot of video, in this about exactly how we started. We wanted one place where we could have all this narrative, which could be again shared on all our job descriptions with people. This is something that we felt is our most potent asset because it gets refreshed every week or every 2 weeks with excellent stories about life at InMobi. So vicariously you could have somebody who's not even at InMobi actually being an InMobi and understanding what it is that happens at InMobi. Now, this prevents a user from doing a Google search, finding about information on a plethora of all places, most of which are not validated. So they have one single snapshot of actually figuring out what is it that InMobians are about, what is the DNA of InMobian, and do I really fit in to this particular place? Again, when we look at our exclusives, this was something that we created within the HR team itself. We were absolutely clear that we didn't want to give this out to an external agency to work on. We said that we have all this information. So our recruitment team and our talent branding team, which is again part of the HR team, work together to build this out really fast because we believe that the ability to build out things faster, communicate it faster, and change things, can only happen when you absolutely know about it. And since we had a lot of expertise and knew exactly what our stories were, we felt it would be best if we had control over this particular asset. The other place where most people miss out, and is your company leaders. This is an extremely brilliant place to source. When you look at our leaders and you look at the kind of hits they get every day, close to about maybe 500 to 1,000 people view their profiles. 500 to 1,000 people who are actually looking out, and out of which maybe around 150 are relevant every day to our hiring, right? So if you are able to know who are your leaders, who are actual billboards for hiring your top talent, you clearly know that you need to tell them that this is the kind of profile that you need to build. This is the kind of mention that you need to have about InMobi on your profile. This is how you need to connect people back into the recruitment team. So clearly, company leaders are like billboards. If you don't use this particular channel, if you don't know who's following them, if you're not chasing that particular aspect, you're missing out on an immensely good and very, very powerful source of hiring. At InMobi, we track who's on our top 20 leaderboard, and you can find that out if you ever go to LinkedIn and see, most viewed profiles at your company. You need to absolutely make sure that their profiles rock. They are the ones who will actually attract a lot of people. So we started this initiative, which is called Rock Your Profile, where we said that, let's look at the different people at InMobi who are the most viewed people, and do their profiles really attract the user to actually want to apply to InMobi, actually want to connect, actually want to know about our jobs. And we went about rocking all their profiles. We said that, this is what we need to do because at the end of the day, the way we look at your profile is as an advertisement to jobs at InMobi. We don't look at it as only your profile, right? And you got to help us hire because you are in a position which enables you to give that kind of influence and enable us to hire better, right? And a lot of our leaders, in fact, all of our leaders are very supportive of this. So one easy way, one unconventional way to really push and improve your sourcing is to rock your leaders' profiles and get people who connect to them into your talent pool faster. We also branded a lot of employee profiles to display our culture, and this is just the recruitment team's profiles. But in addition to that, while leaders are viewed a lot, there are also a lot of people in our company who are influencers. They either post a lot on social media or on LinkedIn or on various sites. We provided them with enough collateral that they'd be able to rock their profiles to display our culture, and that's what people gravitate to. Nobody gravitates necessarily to what kind of business product you stand for or what's recently been launched. But a lot of social media is about emotions and about culture, and therefore we said that this would be the best place for us to actually share things. We also changed the way we advertise. A lot of social hiring is about sharing easy and fun to understand visuals. So this is what you typically see as an advertisement when InMobi is looking for awesome UX designers. It's a much cleverer way rather than just providing a link to a page about what you're looking for. If you can visually adapt that for social media, it results in more shares, more views, and a higher opportunity to click. We started our career handles in 2015, and these career handles are InMobi Careers on Twitter, InMobi Careers on Facebook, and every day or every 2 days we end up posting something very, very interesting about InMobi. Again, our talent branding team is composed of two people who are really, really good. And the most surprising part, whenever I tell this to a lot of individuals, is that it's not a team that has got years and years of experience under their belt in managing career handles. In fact, the two individuals who lead our talent branding team are currently interns with us. And they are still in college. They are Bachelor of Mass Media students at Christ University. So they come in for 2.5 hours every day, and they manage this completely for us. One of the things that we did unconventionally is that a lot of people, a lot of companies are a bit cautious, very, very cautious about, what they do on social media, either because they're listed or because, they have a marketing team and legal team that advises them against it. But in Mobi, we realize that if you follow some basic criteria, some basic guidelines, and you are unafraid of how you go about it, then that's possibly the best thing that social media handles really need. And what we did is that walked them through some sort of proper training program over 1 week, and they managed all our career handles for us. A lot of what you see in the form of stories, visuals, it's this bunch of two people who work probably only about 2 to 2.5 hours a day for InMobi, but they give such amazing output that everybody feels that there's a big large team that's actually doing this. Where in fact, I think this is one unique way in which a lot of companies can actually question how they actually go about talent branding. It's not about the number of people that you have or the resources that you put into it. It's about how you question conventional wisdom and really spur on the speed with which you do things, by really questioning the ability of who can or who cannot do it. We also believe that employee advocacy creates the best brand for the company, right? And when people share things, that's an amazing source to hire people. When a person from your own company is sharing something, without any incentives to really share, that's the best advertisement that you can get. Your people are the best advertisements out there, and they create the best brand for you. The more they share out of their own free will, the better and more sustainable your employer branding strategy can be. We also look at a lot of hackathons, over a period of time, and ever since 2012, we've consistently looked at hackathons as one of the interesting ways in which we hire. We felt that they are important for two simple reasons. One is that they provide a real or analogous problems that actually test work performance. The second is that, in short, they allow a user, which is InMobi, to hire people for the ability to actually do the job and not for their ability to interview well, right? And this is an important facet because when you give people an actual problem that they'll actually end up doing on the job, you can actually test their ability to actually perform it rather than just ask about it and what they think that they will do. The other thing is that there's always a bias that you usually see in technology hiring, an ability for a person to interview well versus actually do something. And hackathons enable you to actually understand whether this person can do something or whether this person just says that they can do something. We've had a bunch of coding challenges, and HackerRank is also our partner, for a lot of our hackathons. We've done some great work, in the field of hackathons. We always have close to about 2 or 3 hackathons a year. We have one because we just had one about a month ago. But the real good perspective that we bring to hackathons is that while we are also in short testing out the person's ability to code, we are also in a way, especially when we conduct it at our own office, giving the user, giving the coders an insight into what is it to work at InMobi. They get to interact with a bunch of our employees. They get to interact and see our facilities. They get to know what our challenges are. They get to know what our engineers are working on. And this is a fantastic way to share our culture, share the kind of work we do, share the kinds of problems that we are solving. Now, hackathon at the end of the day entices and attracts people who are interested in solving problems. And the bigger the problem, the better your ability to entice somebody to come and join you. And that's why it's been so useful for InMobi. We've had a great experience with hackathons. We've hired people who've participated in hackathons with us. Over this year, we are again going to conduct a lot of hackathons, and some of them are going to be specific to how we want to change our diversity ratio at InMobi. We will find a lot of hackathons focused on women. In general, we will find a lot of hackathons focused on people who are not equally represented at InMobi. And that's the way we're going to use hackathons to help us source better as well as create an attractive talent proposition. Some of the things that I look at and my team looks at, especially when it comes to unconventional sources to hire, your employer brand is very powerful. It's something that most companies say is important, but very few HR teams actually go about actually owning it. If you actually own it as part of a talent acquisition or HR team, you will realize that it's a far phenomenal source of your hiring. It's unconventional because you know that you need to do a lot of work to build a good employer brand. But once you build a sustainable company narrative, you will always see people come to you because of the sustainable company narrative you've shared with them. Narratives and stories help you recruit better. It's not about a job description. If you're able to share a narrative or a story about the big problem that you are solving, it is a great way to attract people to you. Telling people that you want to go to Mars and back, and that's the reason for your company's existence, is a far more better sell as a narrative than giving a job description to people. Third, company leaders are like your billboards. They are your best billboards. They are your best advertisements for hiring, because every day, if you have 20 people who get close to about 500 to 1,000 views a day, you've got on an average close to 10,000 to 20,000 unique views. They are like your advertisements, and these are people who are reaching out to them either looking for a job, looking for an opportunity, looking to connect, looking to sell them something. And if you're not using these billboards to your advantage, and again, these are free advertisements, the way I see it. They're free, extremely good advertisements. You're not doing justice to your company leaders. You need to use them really, really well. Referrals can get you better people faster, and getting better people fast to join you is extremely, extremely important if you want to condense the kind of time to productivity you need, and also fill in your positions faster. The longer you take to fill in your positions, think of it as having a revenue impact on your company. And referrals can be one short, quick way where you can keep on maintaining connect with people who've been referred. They are far more likely not to take it to heart that you've not offered them a job yet, because they already know somebody at the company, and therefore that relationship can be used to build up your talent pipeline as well. The fifth is to be visible. It's not about posting every day to LinkedIn. It's not about necessarily posting every day to social media, but be visible as a company. It's not about recruitment team being visible, but just your company and its narrative being visible. That is so much more powerful. I see a lot of recruiters being more visible than their company, right? But as long as your company is more visible than anybody else, the kind of benefit that you're going to get as a recruitment team is going to be far more superior. With this, I would like to pass on to Hari.
Hey guys, hey Kevin, thanks for the detailed presentation. It was fantastic to listen to all the points InMobi has done till now. So now I think we are open for questions. Do we have anything in the chat already, or if there is a chat button in the bottom right, there you can share any questions you have to us.
Thank you, Kevin and Hari. So we will now start with the question and answer. And the first question is from Simmer. She is asking that with respect to the slide on employee advocacy creates the best brand. She wants to know how to control the negative vibes or word of mouth that go out from the employees on the social media.
So one is that, you can't control it. So if you ever think that, you can control something that is negative about a company on social media, it's extremely difficult to do that, because social media has its own sway on how you can actually curb and respond to it. If you believe that you need to respond to it, that's a different question. And responses can be as simple as not doing anything about it, or always believing that, hey, listen, we don't wash our dirty linen in public. We have got mechanisms at our company to address it. And that's what most companies do. They always urge people that, we know we share a lot of confidential information with you. We know that you might be hurt about something, but going on social media and saying that you are hurt about something which, is already being addressed in some way, or is being tried to being addressed in some way, is not the best and optimal strategy. Right? So at least at InMobi, our belief is that companies can do it in two facets. Okay? Two facets. One is that, A, they can create a positive platform where people can share positive ideas and feedback at the company itself. This prevents the urge for people to want to go outside and went outside. When you are able to share that internally with people on a platform which is anonymous, that creates a fantastic platform. The reason why people go on social media to share things is because they believe it's anonymous. They believe that it's a far more superior. I couldn't share this internally because I didn't have an anonymous platform to share it on. I think a lot of companies are pursuing that particular traction in 2016, and I think that's the way of the future. You give employees a platform that they can anonymously share their positive ideas and suggestions, with different teams, maybe HR, maybe the leaders, and that's a very, very good strategy.
Thank you, Kevin, for answer that. This question is from Pinky Singh. She wants you to brief out how narratives and stories help recruit better.
Yeah. So everybody. So I'll take this one, Hari, if you don't mind. One of the things is that people gravitate towards things that they can remember, things that are emotionally charged. They are emotionally charged with. A lot of people look at InMobi today as an innovative company. We are on the world's 50 most innovative companies list. A lot of people see us as a challenger to a lot of well-entrenched mobile advertising companies. They've looked at us being one of the most innovative companies in India, as per Fast Company, being on number 16 on that list globally. So clearly, when you have a constant company narrative, which is about innovation, that's what people remember you by. But when you come up with so many things, saying that we also stand for this, we also stand for tons of other things, people gradually start weaning away from it. We could very easily have said that we don't have any disruptive or innovative people practices, but that would not gel well with our constant company narrative of innovation. A lot of companies, stand for something, but they end up doing things which are so contrary to what their stated intent is. And we always try to measure whatever we say and what we stand for so that our strategy meets our execution. And a lot of companies are doing that now. We've also seen a lot of research around this area. A lot of research talks about how individuals get really charged up. They don't get charged up because you tell them a lot of things. They get charged up because you say that one thing that actually resonates. And when you say that one thing that actually resonates time and time and time again, that's exactly what you stand for. That's exactly why it becomes a superior narrative when you hire. I give them an example of what InMobi stands for. A lot of other companies also have a constant company narrative that they end up sharing. It becomes that much more easy when you are having a conversation with a candidate saying that, this is what a company stands for. And it does not change, depending on whom I speak to, but it's always constant. It stays the same. It just improves my ability to even train my recruitment team about what the company stands for, because when you have similar conversations with a lot of candidates time and time again, you are quite stable that your company is not on a shaky wicket, it's not on shaky ground, it's got a consistent way of communicating what it's actually going to do and how it's going to change the world.
Thank you, Kevin. It was very well answered. Yeah, there are a lot of questions coming on the window. So I would like to, ask you a question put up by Monica Lohani, and she wants to know, how can the company leaders be better billboards? If you can share some innovative ways for that.
Oh, yeah. So clearly, one of the ways in which company leaders can be innovative billboards is A, by posting more about their companies on their own social profiles. A lot of company leaders don't end up looking at their own profiles on LinkedIn that often. They don't update it that often. But seeking help from the recruitment team, saying that, I know you guys have some good stuff going on. I know you guys are hiring for a particular position. Do you think, I'd be best suited to be able to advertise that particular position in my network? Let me know. Or, some of the leaders that I've worked with so far are like, please use our profiles, here it is, why don't you take it, and just help the company hire better. Whatever changes you want to make, whoever you want to connect to, let me know, and I'll make that happen. You want me to post something on my networks, I'm going to do that for you. So they are I think a lot of company leaders can use the influence that they have, and the position that they are in to actually create much more exciting ways. One of the things that we are going to look at in 2016 is how do we engage a lot of our users to directly connect with our company leaders. This could be either conversations over coffee that, let's say, some of our leaders invite people to, and people sign up. That's another way that, you could look at sharing things. I've seen a lot of leaders, especially who are traveling, mention that they're going to be in so-and-so city, so-and-so time to so-and-so time, and they'd like to connect with talent who's interested to get into this particular company. So leaders, if they use their influence socially, for betterment of hiring, for betterment of their company's own brand, it's a really exciting way. There is no limit. There's no limit, and there's no limit to the number of ideas that can be generated over there. It's only you need to have supportive leaders who actually believe that, they have the necessary influence and are comfortable using it. I have a question from Vishnu Santosh about the taxation part of experiential rewards. So the way we work it out at InMobi is that whenever we figure out a certain price, let's say that for an engineering manager, we say that the total price reward is INR 2 lakhs. This is inclusive of all taxes. So if I were to give out award to somebody, this would be inclusive of all taxes. If the infield bullet is for 1,50,000 and the taxes on it come up to 2 lakhs, what the employee gets is the total amount of 2 lakhs. If there is any additional amount, the employee needs to share it out. We provide between Royal Enfield, the agency and the employee, and they manage that deal. Right? So that's the way we look at it. Taxation is part of the award that I've already budgeted for, so the employee does not need to part with it. However, let's assume for a second that there is an experiential reward where a person gets to go to Thailand, and we know that this total award is, let's say, 1 lakh rupees. The employee decides to extend this, the duration of stay, instead of flying economy class, flies business class both ways, right? And the total price is 1,50,000. That's the total impact. The remaining money, which is over and above the 1 lakh that I've already budgeted for with taxes, is actually owned by the employee. So we're very clear as to where the spend can happen and what the company would like to give. But we also accommodate for an individual's choice. Maybe they don't want only the Royal Enfield bike, they want it with with certain other things alongside it, maybe a jacket, maybe a helmet, etc., etc. So that's all up to the employee to decide. If it comes well within the amount, inclusive taxes that we budgeted for, we are more than happy to take that on.
Thanks, thanks, Kevin, for answering that. We have another question from Movina De Silva. Her question is a little specific. She wants to know that you mentioned about 2 trainees from Christ College who manage the talent branding for InMobi. So what are the background of these trainees and what courses are they doing in that Christ College?
So I think they are Bachelor of Mass Media graduates. I think Bachelor of Mass Media graduates are folks that typically understand a lot of social media management. They are already well trained. They do a lot of internships. Previously, over 3 years, they actually work at different companies. Some of them also, in addition to their college, also end up working at a few ad firms, etc. So they already come with an idea of what social media is about. In fact, a lot of them are well trained even on designing things, working with Photoshop, working with different video editing software, writing stories. They are English literature grads as well. So clearly, they come with an interest which resonates and maps with what needs to get done in talent branding. So If any of you want to reach out, I think Bachelor of Mass Media students would be an absolute good fit for some of the work that you want to get done.
Thanks, Kevin. So we have one more question. It's from Jasu Jain. She wants to know, having discussed about tech hiring for ITs and ITES, how can tech hiring be managed for manufacturing and automobile sector?
Okay, so, I had this conversation with one of the largest automobile majors in India. This was about 2 weeks ago. So they wanted to know about the same question, saying that, you guys do this for technology. How could we do it for them? And for me, it was actually an easy question to answer, because clearly when you look at the number of automobile engineers that are being generated in the country, it's a fantastic way to actually provide them an opportunity of a hackathon, which is maybe not necessarily coding linked, but it could be idea linked, right? When you're able to do that, it could be a fantastic sell. So my brief to a lot of, or at least the way I respond to this question, is that just because it can be done in technology doesn't mean it can't be done in manufacturing. I was speaking to another robotics company, and I said that, why don't you look at creating an idea generating contest for mechanical engineers? What stops you from doing that? When you look at the number of engineering graduates that are actually produced in mechanical engineering in the country, it far outstrips computer engineering. It far, to a large extent, even outstrips electrical engineering in the country. Automobile engineering is, again, it's in a similar bucket. So there is nothing that stops it. There's nothing in the world that can stop you if you want to ever create a wonderful brand for yourselves in that space. And what's surprising is that the companies haven't done that. You don't find any sort of contest for any sort of well-branded contest that's actually challenging, the Indian engineer to say that, are you the country's best automobile engineer? Are you the country's best mechanical engineer? We have a job for you. We have got things to do. We are going to change the world, with our robotic startup based in India. We are going to change the world with designing our own car, etc. And we want you. We see that happening, but it's not on the scale of branding or social leverage that you would actually expect. Being such big companies, being such strong companies, being a consumer brand, a lot of these manufacturing companies are consumer brands as such. They've not really done justice to that.
Thanks, Kevin, again for answering that. So we have one more question, and it's interesting. Rahul wants to know, how can we measure the return on investment by leveraging all the social media tools that you just mentioned in your presentation?
Yeah, so we never go by the return on investment that we want to get, because it's very, very difficult to measure. You can't say that because I want to be on Facebook, I need to get at least 20 hires via people connecting with me on Facebook, because it's something that you cannot force. That's something that will happen. But the way we do this is that, we say that, okay, I know that I would typically have participated in, some sort of, contest. I would have sponsored something, during the year. What is it that I can do that is indigenous to me, that becomes an asset to me, that I can switch on and switch off at any given point? So if I look at the total number of impressions that have happened for a particular campaign that I've run, organic campaign that I've run, how many people has it reached out to? How many of them have signed up, for my company page? What is my followership on the company page? What's the gender ratio of followership on my company page? If I'm running a campaign for diversity, that is. Out of all the people who are approaching me currently, what is my pipeline looking like for passive candidates? If I've actually gone and tried to improve the spread of passive candidates actually applying to my company. So these are some of the aspects that we look at. The most telling aspect of employer branding is the kind of appeal that it creates for people when they are applying to your company. That's the most telling part. So when you speak to people, when you ask them, why is it that you're applying to my company? If they mention that, I'm only applying for the job that I need to do, you realize that, you're not there yet. But when you realize that they're saying that, because I resonate well with what your company stands for, because I resonate well with your company narrative, I resonate, I really feel that even I'm in the same bucket, and I would do wonders here. I really feel that it's the best place for me to be because of these reasons, right? So you actually have realized that whatever you started to do has begun to work, right? It's not about people applying, how many people apply to you. I could say that there are 5 times more people that apply to us, but out of the 5 times more people that apply to us, a lot of them are saying that they're applying to us because of InMobi, not necessarily because they saw the job description that that we advertise, but because of InMobi. I think that's the biggest lever that we have. LinkedIn has something called a talent brand index, where they measure, how your employer branding has moved up. But again, that's just a proxy. It might not be the best measure. When I looked at our talent brand index from 2013 to 2015, when I looked at the scores and statistics, it showed me a drop. But when I speak to people, in the industry, when I speak to candidates, they actually end up saying that, we know about InMobi so much more now than we did in 2013, right? So you just can't look at one particular proxy, because especially in this field of employer branding, till now, I haven't seen a single metric that makes a lot of sense. That's absolutely perfect to understand. It's not there yet. I think there is still a lot of research that needs to be done on that single core metric, that keystone employer branding metric that you can actually, put your hand on your heart and say, this actually works. This is the metric that I'm going to track for. I have not seen that yet.
Thanks, Kevin. So now we would ask the last question because, we are running short of time and this is a very good concluding question. So Shalini wants to know what are the pitfalls of social hiring and is unconventional sourcing of talent the future of recruitment?
So I think the pitfalls of social hiring, I'll come back to that second, but is this the future of hiring? I think it is because, unlike the previous 1990s where, you had a lot of profiles not being on the internet but being on paper. You used to actually mail your resume, through snail mail and through registered post across the world, right? So it's changed a lot from there, through email, etc. So you find a lot of these profiles coming up, on a lot of platforms. Because of which you also realize that with the advent of technology and software automation, a lot of this can be sifted through really fast. Also, a lot of people are now changing those resumes really faster because the pace at which you're changing resumes or changing jobs has increased rapidly since 1980s, 90s, 2000s to this decade, right? Which means that you need faster technology to innovate. And therefore, you cannot always have humans doing that for you. You will find a lot of intelligent platforms doing that for you, figuring out which profiles make sense, looking at what skills make sense, identifying whether these are the people to actually join your company. Are these the people actually looking out? They're sniffing for social signals to determine, hey, listen, this person has always been in the company for 2 years and every 2 years this person moves. It's going to be 2 years, so we give a high probability to this person actually wanting to look out. It's a passive candidate, but you can provide a probability estimate as to this person. I really think it's the way of the future because of the plethora, it's because of the billions of profiles and the billions of breadcrumbs that we leave in our social signals, being on LinkedIn, being on Facebook, being on Twitter, etc. The second is that we're also providing a lot of information about what we do on our jobs. That wasn't there before. It wasn't very clear, but now it is. And that's one place where I feel a lot of companies are definitely going to use a lot of software automation to do hiring. The second bit is on the pitfalls of social media hiring is that, one, a lot of people expect that once you post something, they expect a response, and it's very, very difficult to respond to every candidate. A lot of companies end up now telling candidates that, they received a lot of responses and therefore, we wouldn't be able to respond to you, to respond to each and every one of them. Right? That's one of the ways of doing it. The other way that I've seen not working well is, when candidates get aggrieved, they get extremely aggrieved with respect to, the way that they've been treated or, they've not been offered an interview. They take it to heart. And that's something that, you can't control for always. But a lot of candidates end up going and venting this out on social media. Maybe they vent it out on Glassdoor. But that's something that you can't control. And like I said, you don't need to control it. You don't need to curb it. You need to decide whether you need to respond or not. Right? And with that being said, the final point on which I really feel on social media hiring and, one of its pitfalls is that you can't always reach people who are not on social media. Right? So if the person that you really want to reach, maybe there are good candidates out there who are not on social media, who've given up on social media, who really don't respond to social media, who don't have a steady roadmap, or have not left enough breadcrumbs with respect to their email addresses or how they can be contacted on. People are not always on social media. You can't really hire them. You have to figure out other ways to reach out to them. Maybe it's through friends, maybe it's through meetings, maybe it's through personal connects, till you finally gain their trust to speak to them.
Great, Kevin. Thank you for sharing that knowledge and answering all the questions coming from the participants. Now, Hari, would you like to share some closing remarks on the discussion we had so far?
Yeah. First, thanks, Kevin, for your insights. This is really valuable, and today did learn a lot. In terms of tech recruiting aspects, that the market is really competitive today. The traditional methods might not, which probably worked a few years back, would not work today. And this is even more. This is in general for recruiting today, and for tech talent, it's even more aggressive. So a couple of unconventional ways in which you can hire today, like one would be hackathons, like how Kevin mentioned, especially the online coding contests. They help you to understand whether a programmer is good enough. The competitive nature in the programmer comes out really well during a hackathon, either it's on-site or online. Hackathons, in short, are the right means for a programmers to show off their skills, and companies to find the right skills and see if they can be effective in the company from day one. The second way is to add coding challenges to a careers page. Like gone are the days where in a careers page there are just simple calls where you put in your name, upload your resume, and wait for some recruiter to get back to you. These days, you can have an interesting coding challenge, interesting piece which can ask your potential candidates to work on. These challenges give insights to the candidates on what are the interesting problems which they can work on after they join the company. Like it gives them insights on the interesting challenges the company is solving as of today. So these are two interesting ways in which you can move away from the traditional recruiting methods. I once again would like to thank Kevin for the presentation and answering all the questions. Thank you, Kevin.
Great.
Thank you.
Finally, our special thanks to Kevin and Hari. Yes, Kevin, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to thank every single person who's attended this, all the participants, Hari, and People Matters for organizing this. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. So thank you to the speakers of this webinar for their time and invaluable information that they shared with us today. And I would also like to thank everyone in this webinar audience for participating in today's presentation. And we will come back to you with many more. So with this, we conclude today's webcast. Thank you all and have a great day ahead.